Hey, welcome to Vance Tried It. Today, we're going to be making a recipe inspired by Miss Condi. She is one of my favorite viewers, and she asked me, what do you do with leftover coffee? And my mind went immediately to the 1950s. Imagine you're driving down the highway, it's the middle of the night, and there is a 24-hour roadside diner. You pull in, you go inside, and what do you get? Every one of them would have had this recipe we're going to be making today. That's right, red eye gravy. Because you want to stay awake at night, and you can only drink so much coffee. So, what do you do when you can't drink any more coffee? You eat the coffee. That's where red eye gravy comes in. It is gravy made with coffee. And we're going to have today red eye gravy with ham. Because red eye gravy was typically not for something like potatoes, but it was typically a dressing over meat, either ham or maybe a hamburger steak or something like that. And so we're going to start off with cooked ham, no bone in it. Let's get rid of this. And we're just going to cut it up in about, I'd say a 1/4 inch slices here. 1/4 to a 1/2 inch maybe. Now this is a honey ham, not by brand, but by flavor. And I have had it before, and it is a pretty good quality ham. This is typically how I will eat it. I will cut it up into ham steaks. And so I'm just going to go ahead and make steaks out of all of this, because here's the thing. If I cut it up into steaks, I can always, if I want cubes, I can always just cube this ham steaks up. So I just typically will go ahead and cut it up into some steaks. Now here's what I'm going to do. I intentionally got a ham that had a nice little layer of fat around it. That fat is always going to add more flavor to any meat, but it's really important here because what we're going to do is we're going to cut some of this fat layer off, and we're going to render this fat down, and that is going to start to be the basis of our nice little gravy that we're going to be making. And if you get a strip like that off, go ahead and just cut it down a little bit. You can have a little bit of ham in with that fat. It ain't going to hurt anything. As we render this down, we're going to do, I'd say, let's get one with a good amount of fat on here. This one has a good fat cap on it. We're wanting to use about 4 of these steaks for this recipe. And so here we go. Got that going on. We're just going to put these over here. We'll use those maybe sometime later. Let me put this in the sink. Rinse my hands off just a little bit here. And move this skillet right over here. And I have a little bit of lard in there. You're going to need some sort of oil, probably about a tablespoon of oil. Now, I'm not going to really ever suggest that you use a seed oil like corn oil, but you can use certainly avocado oil. That's going to be a healthier oil. But I like to use the lard or the beef tallow. That's what I like to use. And so we're just going to let this cook down. It's going to be rendering it. Let me find a good spatula here. Here we go. And I'm just going to let this cook down, and I will get back to you when it is just the way we want it. Okay, so we've been going about 5 minutes here, and that is going to be enough. It has gotten most of these ham fat pieces rendered off, and so we're just going to put them off onto a plate over here, just like this. And now we're going to cook up our ham. We're going to put in there, we're going to put a little salt on there, a little pepper on there. And we want to get about 3 to 5 minutes per side. We're going to do all 4 of these steaks up, and I'll get back to you when they are all cooked up and ready to go. Okay, so our ham steaks are warmed up here. I'm going to pull the last ones off of the stove here. There we go. And then what I have here is 1 tablespoon of flour and just a pinch of cayenne pepper. And all we're doing here is we're making ourselves a roux. So we're just wanting to get all of this flour incorporated in with all this fat in here. And we just want to cook it just enough where we really start to lose that flour taste. Like I said, we're just making a roux here. A lot of people get afraid of roux, but there's no need to be afraid. Not that difficult of a thing. You just put the flour in there with whatever fat you have. And you just keep stirring it around until it's nice and brown. You just want to start to get that flour to cook. And there we are. And now we're just going to take about 2/3 of a cup of leftover coffee. We're going to add that in here. And we're just going to stir. And we really want to make sure we get a good scrape on the bottom of our pan here, because we have all that crunchy goodness in there. And we're just going to stir this around, for probably about 2 to 3, maybe 4 minutes, depending on how hot your pan is. And we're just wanting to let it kind of all blend together, stiffen up a little bit. Just like that. Now we're just going to let it set for just a little bit here. Just letting all those flavors mix together really nicely. And you can probably see we have some bubbles in here. And that's good, because what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to get it a little bit concentrated in there. But we don't have to have this completely kind of a heavy gravy consistency. We just wanted a light gravy consistency. In fact, we're probably just about right there right now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take these ham steaks and we're going to start to put them back in here. Just dip it in there just like that and just turn it over. We're going to see if we can get all 4 of these bad boys in here. Let's see what we can do. It's going to be a tight fit, but we're going to see if we can do it. We might have to overlap a little bit, but that's all right, because we're not too worried about that, because we've already cooked them the way we want them. Now we're just warming them back up after they sit there and letting some of that red eye gravy kind of soak into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to leave that till later. We're going to go ahead and put the lid on it. And we're going to just let it simmer in there at a low temperature for about 10 minutes. So we'll get back to you when that is ready to go. Okay, so we have had our ham steaks soaking and marinating in this red-eye gravy. And we're just going to take them out of here now. Over here on this plate. I'm just going to take and pour this over our stuff there. There we go. That looks so delicious. And now, let's see what it tastes like. Let's get that turned off. We're just going to cut us off a piece right here. Just like this. So that red-eye gravy really complements the ham. I mean, because a little bit of that bitter from the coffee, you got the sweet from the honey glaze on the ham, and then I tell you what you can do when you take a piece of this and you put it on your plate. You can just take some of these sprinkles right here, and these are just like candy going on top of your red-eye gravy and ham. Super simple to make. So if you have some leftover coffee, or hey, maybe you just want to brew up some coffee and use it just for this, it's worth it. I tried it. You should too.